all of your statistics, which makes it really easy to visually see if things are going well on Twitter or they're not. And as always, you can, in all platforms, go into your view tweet activity. So, down to, just the individual tweet that you've sent out. And when you click on view tweet activity, you get impressions, engagements, replies, likes, retweets, everything. So when you click on, so basically when you first click on it, just shows you impressions and engagements. But if you click on view more about your engagements, then it opens up and shows you what kind of engagements you got. Like I mentioned earlier, whether or not someone opens up the picture, whether or not they view the media, whether or not they click through on a link that you've placed on your tweet, all super, super helpful information coming in from Twitter. All right, so what stats and metrics really matter? Okay, so obviously engagement with about 5 exclamation points on it. What you really want to pay attention to is who's engaging, how many people are engaging. So things like comments, likes, super important. For OnlyFans, you're always looking at your subscribers. You're looking at, people who also subscribe to you. That's a huge metric. But for social media and for everything you're doing in your marketing efforts, as far as statistics are concerned, you want to look for the most engagement that's happening. Now, we went over the last podcast about followers. I could put followers on here, as being top line, but I don't, because we went over, there's a lot of different types of followers. So it's more important for you to be looking at your comments, your likes, and your subscribers. Now, I would absolutely keep an eye on, so this is a secondary list right here underneath your engagement, but keep your eye on your impressions and your follower numbers. So when it comes to impressions, if you're seeing your impressions dip, it doesn't necessarily mean that's terrible. It could mean that you had something that went viral last month. It could mean you had something that people really engaged with, and now the next month you're just back to normal. You haven't hit, something on that viral level, but it's still something to look at, because if you see a downturn in your impressions, month to month, week to week, that could be a signal, of a problem. And I always like to just think of them as like signals, so like little red flags. So for me, keeping an eye on your impression and your follower numbers is important, because it can be a red flag of something bad happening, meaning that you're starting to lose traction, overall. So for me, when I started this podcast, I was also running the OnlyFans Hero promotion, and I took some of my time off to do this podcast and create it and get it going. And I made some bad assumptions, which is that what I had been doing the month before was going to continue to grow that OnlyFans Hero account, but it did not. And what I saw is that the impression numbers started going down. The followers weren't coming in at the same pace. And then all of a sudden they just slowed to coming in at a very, very slow pace. And so I had to go and had to make adjustments. But those red flags were right out there for me. And I could see them. And I realized that I had to make a huge adjustment to get that account back to where it had been as far as the growth, because growth, continues to sustain itself only if you continue to sustain your marketing efforts and to go back and look at those things and keep on them. So it's very important to keep an eye on those things. And I would not worry about views. So that's the one thing that I wouldn't concern myself with. So if you pop up a video out into the world and it gets a certain number of views, 1,200, and then you pop the next one out and it gets 500. Again, like, views to me are not super important. So, when you create something, and even on, platforms like TikTok, when you gain a viral video and it goes out to 10,000 people, and now you go back to, your regular TikTok videos that just go out to 1,000, that's okay. Like, it's not a crisis. When it expands out, it's expanding out probably to people who are not as interested in your product to begin with, or what you're trying to sell. It's just basically, as I always refer to them, looky-loos. So you get looky-loos in, very few people who are actually going to be interested in your OnlyFans or in your marketing efforts overall. All right, so how should you compile your stats? All right, so I recommend a spreadsheet that tracks your most important data, hopefully weekly. If not weekly, monthly. I realize it's time consuming. It takes a lot of time if you're going to compile these weekly. But I would definitely have a line for followers, total impressions, and subscribers. So that's what I would be tracking on a regular basis, is on each of your social channels. What is my follower growth? What's my impression growth? Meaning the number of people who are looking at my material, and your subscribers. So as I mentioned just earlier, these are stats that if they start to fall, there's a red flag. So I'm not saying necessarily you want to keep track of your comments, likes. You should be able just to look at that every single day and see, okay, people are engaging and paying attention. And then those are the people you engage with. But what I want you to follow as far as, stats are concerned is, your followers, total impressions, and the number of subscribers that you have for your OnlyFans. Because these are all important metrics, and these are all metrics that should be growing every single month. They should not be in decline. Your influence should continue to grow across your social channels and your OnlyFans. Okay. And then, what would you do as far as checking numbers at the end of the month, against the previous month? I would suggest that. So I would have just, again, it could be another spreadsheet, or it could just be you keeping track of this each month. So at the end, on the first of the next month, because you want the full stats. It's a pain because you can't just check the last day of the month, because you need the full amount of statistics that come in for that last day. So on the first of every month, you just go and look at your most popular social channels, and you just take in, okay, am I growing on that channel? I would definitely check every 30 days at least on your progress. I like 15 days, but, I'm someone who does marketing all the time. So, but minimal 30 days. And then preferably make changes as soon as you see issues arise. So again, that's the reason why I say 15 days, because 30 days is a long period of time on the internet. It's a long period of time with social channels. They are constantly ever evolving. So things are changing in your market at a 15-day pace. So if you see an issue, make adjustments as soon as possible. Go back to previous podcasts and review them about making changes to ads, making changes to ad copy. So you want to go ahead and adjust and start testing and figuring out how you can improve your marketing once again. So it's very important to keep track of these stats, because the stats are going to give you the information you need to decide whether or not you want to make changes in your marketing efforts for your OnlyFans. Okay, so that was evaluating your OnlyFans statistics. Again, my name is Richard Lewis. I am the founder of OnlyFans Hero and an upcoming platform called Stripper.fan. You can find this podcast on Instagram at OnlyFans Secrets Podcast. You can also find us on Reddit at the subreddit of r/OnlyFans Secrets, which is a marketing community on Reddit. You can find us on OnlyFans itself at onlyfans.com/OnlyFansHero. Please subscribe and follow us on there for the latest updates on this podcast. We're also on TikTok at OF Secrets Podcast. And as always, you can find us on Twitter at OnlyFans Hero, where we run hourly free promotions for OnlyFans creators in our tweets. You can definitely jump on there and hop on some of those tweets right now. That account grows by 500 followers plus a day, both subscribers and creators following us. So super helpful. Love that you guys continue to follow that account and support it. And as always, you can find me there as well at OnlyFans Hero, where you can ask me questions. If you have any questions for our Sunday Secrets episode or any ideas for podcasts or any feedback, I've heard some wonderful feedback the last couple of days about this podcast that I really appreciate, both on OnlyFans and on Twitter. So please keep that up. It encourages me. It makes me want to continue the podcast and get brand new ideas to help creators out on succeeding in OnlyFans. So that encouragement just means the world to me. So as always, if you have the opportunity to leave a review on a review site about this podcast, please do so. And as always, please continue to subscribe and follow this podcast and listen to it daily. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. 40.